Hi, this is Gary with MacMost.com. Today I want to give you some reasons why you may want to consider getting the new iPod Touch. MacMost is brought to you by a community of supporters. Join us and get exclusive content at MacMost.com/Patreon. Now the new iPod Touch is the first update in years, and it's a very small update because the iPod Touch still looks the same. It still has the same form factor, but it gets a new processor to bring it up to date and allow it to be able to run iOS 13 and probably beyond that by a version or two. So in case it's been a while since you've looked at an iPod Touch, it basically looks like an iPhone, but the 4-inch model, so kind of close to maybe the iPhone SE. It's really light. It weighs just 3 ounces, has an 1136 by 640 display, has a built-in speaker which isn't going to be able to play music for the whole party, but it can allow you to listen to podcasts or music while, say, working alone in a room. It's got an 8 megapixel camera, which isn't great, but it's not horrible either. It's capable of doing 1080 video even at faster frame rates for slow motion. It comes with a headphone jack so you can plug older wired headphones into it and even get a pair of earpods in the box. So one situation where you may want to get one of these is if you're part of the Apple ecosystem. You've got a Mac, you've got an iPad, but you don't have an iPhone because maybe work provides you with a phone and that's the one you need to use. But that's hooked up to a different Apple ID associated with work. Getting an iPod Touch allows you to have an iOS device that's hooked up to your Apple ID, has your apps on it, and syncs with your other Apple devices over iCloud. Now the iPod Touch runs all the different apps and comes with the standard iOS apps, meaning it comes with Apple Music, or if you prefer you can get an alternative like Spotify on it, which makes it a great streaming music app. So if you have a fantastic stereo system and want to be able to stream music from these services over it, a $199 iPod Touch is a really good way to do it. Another killer app that's available on the iPod Touch is FaceTime. You can use your iPod Touch to make audio and video phone calls over Apple's FaceTime system. If you're a big FaceTime user, it may be worthwhile to have a $200 device dedicated to just that. Now getting away from the professional stuff, the iPod Touch is great for kids. If you've got a kid around that's too young for a phone, an iPod Touch is a good alternative. It feels like a phone. They can call the grandparents over FaceTime. They can use all sorts of different apps and games and educational things, but without having an actual phone yet. Now let's say you have an iPhone and you put it to some heavy use. In addition to using it as a phone and text and internet, you use lots of apps that take up tons of battery. Like say you're playing a game that just eats your battery up a lot. Having an iPod Touch may be a way to offload those apps onto another device, play the games, and use those apps on that device and preserve the battery life of your iPhone that you may really need for professional use. Now a lot of people are going to have a problem with this next one. I'm going to argue that the iPod Touch is a good camera. Now, at 8 megapixels and using an old sensor with no ability to really zoom or anything like that, it's a far cry from a great camera. But isn't bad for taking snapshots of you and your friends doing things, the kind of things that most people take pictures of. And then consider that you can install all sorts of photo apps with filters and different functionality to it. Things you certainly can't do with a point-and-shoot camera that could cost between $100 or $200. Add to that it's got Wi-Fi, so you can sync with iCloud or Google Photos or whatever it is that you use. Plus you could use social photo apps like Instagram and Snapchat on it, something you definitely can't get on a cheap point-and-shoot camera. And the screen is probably a lot better than what you see on some of those cheap point-and-shoots also, allowing you to view the photos nicer, allowing you to stream those photos to, say, an Apple TV or other device using AirPlay, and allowing you to edit the photos right there. And for video, of course, being able to shoot HD video, edit it in an app, and share it over the internet is a huge plus over any point-and-shoot camera at that price range. Now one reason a lot of people might get the iPod Touch is because it's the only iPod that Apple sells. So if you're really into music and you want a device dedicated to just music, the iPod Touch may be for you. Now a lot of people out there on YouTube and blogs are saying don't bother getting anything more than the $199 version because Apple charges too much for memory. But you know what? The 256 gig version for $400, if you're a big music fan, first of all, that's not a big deal. You probably have a stereo system where the speakers themselves cost more than $1,000 each, right? So getting a $400 device where you can store a quarter terabyte of music on it and take it anywhere you want with you, listen with headphones, stream it over Bluetooth, it's a fairly nice option. Now likewise, if you're into portable gaming, $200 for a portable gaming device isn't too far off from some of the other systems that are out there. And there are tons of apps, new apps coming out all the time. I mean, you could play Fortnite on the new iPod Touch. So it makes for a really nice portable gaming device that's super lightweight and capable of playing lots of games. On the flip side of that, you can look at the iPod Touch as a productivity machine. After all, it connects to iCloud. You've got reminders, you've got calendar, you've got notes, you've got your contacts. You can do all sorts of things with other productivity apps. Now your iPhone does that as well, of course, but if you want to have all of your productivity apps connected to your Apple ID for work and you want your phone to be for personal use, it could be a really useful productivity device to have in your other pocket. And my last reason really depends on you, because all it really takes is one killer app for you to make the iPod Touch worth it. If there's one iOS app made by Apple or any third-party developer that you find yourself using all the time and want to have a device dedicated to that that's separate from your iPhone, the iPod Touch is a great option at $200. I publish new tutorials every weekday. Hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out. Then hit the little bell icon to get notifications for each new tutorial.